you know, IT is typically a thankless job, but it is so important. It's really how companies are able to scale themselves, and it can actually be a key differentiator. It can be the catalyst to how a company, can grow and thrive.
Okay.
But then I noticed that the way it was being practiced was, very old school, and it didn't get the right importance. So it just became my life's mission, right? To sort of
Okay.
like start contributing in a different way.
Hi Ajay, welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Manjana.
So, we've never talked professionally before. I really wanted to, find out about your professional journey. So I know Meenu shared with me that you recently got a couple of years ago appointed as CIO of a company. I wanted to find out like how was your professional journey um, growing from where you were to becoming a CIO?
Mhm. Yeah, that's correct. So I am a CIO and a chief data officer. So I actually have two roles at my company. Um, and the journey started way back in time where I had interest in computers and more importantly in programming. Right? So that's
Okay.
really where I started my career journey is just having that interest growing up. And my dad always encouraged me, right, to follow my passion. Right? That's one of the things I always teach others is that you must follow your passion in whatever you do, and you will always feel great about your work life and your contributions to society, etc. When you put your heart into it.
Yeah.
And so that journey started way back in India, where I started doing software programming. That was sort of my first job,
Okay.
like really writing software programs, and I really started to enjoy it. And of course, my job brought me to America, and then I just decided to stay back, stay on. I like the environment here. I like the professionalism. I thought that the opportunities, looked great because I actually just happened to come to Silicon Valley, and I like the kind of environment and the people around, and so I just sort of like stayed back, and my journey, morphed through so many different technology companies, and it just so happened, right? So I have worked for a few different types of companies, but then I started to find my passion with high tech companies. So
Okay.
for the past 20 years, I have to say I've been part of high tech companies in different roles, right? Whether it was a software engineer building, software product, or it was professional services helping customers implement, a high tech product.
Okay.
Or then, I found in 2005, I found my way into IT, and I started to like that too. So,
Okay.
and that's where I sort of stayed in that environment, saying that, IT is typically a thankless job, but it is so important. It's really how companies are able to scale themselves, and it can actually be a key differentiator. It can be the catalyst to how a company, can grow and thrive.
Okay.
But then I noticed that the way it was being practiced was, very old school, and it didn't get the right importance. So it just became my life's mission, right? To sort of like start contributing in a different way and be impactful in IT. And so every role that I took on, sort of grew in size and scope, and I was able to, see how a different attitude to doing things could kind of completely help the company, right?
So, as a CIO, what's the topmost strategy that you use?
Exactly. So I think that's why
implement.
So I think being a growth catalyst, right? So is IT a growth catalyst for the company?
Okay.
And if you have that mindset, you sort of like build your organization around that, and you make sure that you become partners with every single business leader in your company, and then you start advising them on everything from product. So we are a high tech company, right? So we do have security products. We are one of the world leaders in data security, and it was important for us to also have an opinion about, the way we build products, the way we launch them, the way we, go to market, and influence every part of that journey, right? 3 years ago, I, noticed that our company was struggling with closing quarters. For a couple of quarters, we struggled. And the interesting thing was that we actually had great products that, were very much in demand in the market. The potential was huge, but the execution was poor. And so we realized that companies, can execute poorly, but that's a data problem. It's because we are not data driven, right? So that's my other role, chief data officer, is the focus that we brought on using data and analytics and machine learning and AI to look at every single metric across the board in the company and improve, certain processes and certain outcomes, accountability, commitments from people. All of that starts to show up in your data. It was an interesting journey for us. Within 2 quarters, we turned a corner. The company's never looked back since then. We've always enjoyed, some high growth since we started becoming a data-driven company. And now we are intensely data-driven. Now it's like everything is more real time. Our execs consume everything and make decisions based on what they see the data tell them, right?
So that helped the business move forward
and
right?
grow
and
meet commitments. So you make a commitment, you have to meet them, right? See, execution is such an important part of. You can't just build great products. You have to figure out your execution, and I think we have been able to achieve that to a great extent. But then, these other philosophies that are equally important. So it's not just important to have, these strategies, but I think one of the important things I do is I become a servant leader. So that's the one virtue I think I learned, and I didn't realize that I was actually imbibing that. I used to get annoyed by leaders who would just sit on on their gold throne and then just say that you can't talk to me, or I don't know who you are in my team. And I just didn't appreciate those leaders. And I felt the leaders should be vested in every single person in their group. They should be coaching them, mentoring them, looking to see how they can help them grow. They should be making connections with the business. What is our role as leaders, right? And I felt that as a leader, I had to be different. I said I didn't want any of what I observed growing up, growing through my roles. I used to get annoyed by, certain styles.
The bureaucracy.
Yeah, exactly. So I said, how could I cut through all that and become, and then this servant leadership concept, which has been around for a while, by the way, it just really started to resonate to me. I said, yeah, I actually work for you. You don't work for me. And that's my attitude. I know every single person in my group. We have over 120 employees. We have lots of contractors, but they know it's an open door policy. They reach out to me, they message me from all over the globe. And I have some healthy conversations with people. And it's the same with leadership, right? We try to connect with them. We try to shift left, understand where they are struggling, understanding the business problem. So that's how I say IT is a catalyst. I actually focus more on the business problem than on the technology solution, because I said technology is a given. Believe me, I'll give you the best solutions. I just need to understand the problem. So let's just focus on the business
diagnosing the problem.
Exactly, and see where we need scalability, automation, where do we need the top line to grow, and why are we struggling, right?
So how do you keep yourself up to date on technology?
Yeah,
because things are changing so rapidly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
things change rapidly. So, you have to be in touch through the various forums, right? So I am fortunately in a lot of CIO advisory committees. And they give me great exposure to everything that goes on around me, right? So I'm part of a lot of these VC-based advisory committees, including our own, the VC company that funded us. I'm part of their group as well. So I get exposure to a lot of different trends, technologies. So I go to a lot of conferences and I speak there, or I actually listen to some of the well-known speakers. And then you listen to podcasts. I advise people, if you go out on a walk, just make it more productive. Just listen to podcasts. You might have different interests. Maybe you can just catch up on all the different trends. And just come back, and if you see something interesting, share it with your team. And so I definitely have meetings where I focus more on trends, and we talk about, okay, what are some of the things that we could try out, right? And maybe help our own company with it. And sometimes you just have to, invest a little bit of your time trying to understand what's really going on around you. Yeah.
And then my last question to you, Ajay, is like, what do you, the way it's moving, everything is moving so fast, right? In general, like, what do you think in 3 to 5 years, where would everything be technology-wise?
See, technology is a constant evolution. In fact, when these companies like Uber, Airbnb all hit, they actually started calling themselves a software company. And it's an interesting concept because, yes, it's software that's driving them. It's driving all these different use cases around us. And we've realized that there's such a lot that this digital revolution can offer because it can help organize people. So that's, I think, the biggest gain that this world has seen from this digital revolution, whether it's cloud computing or it's just security itself has evolved so much, and now we are able to secure ourselves. So while we move forward with technology, there will be all these issues that we will have to keep solving. But I personally feel we have some bigger issues in the world to solve, which is like climate change, lack of resources, a growing population in the world that has to get much more creative about how we, grow food, how we consume. So there's so many different world global issues that technology can really help solve. Even genetics, right? So even that's such an interesting. We can help, cure ourselves from these age-old diseases. There's so much potential, and I view all of that as technology, right? Saying yes, technology may have different ways to kind of bring solutions to the table, help organize people, and really just make some inroads into all of these areas, right? So that's what gets me excited. The possibilities are endless. We just have to apply ourselves to it, and then keep educating the world that this is not, software is not just about build a product, and it's like just look at the possibilities and keep thinking in that direction. So don't stop becoming creative. I think that is creativity of a lot of people is really how we have seen it rapidly progress.
So basically, as you said before, being, even in technology, being open-minded, right? And you said like learning and the way you work with your team, everything is like open door policy. Everything is about being open and being like learning new things and being efficient about it, right?
And that's very well said. It is about keeping an open mind on how you apply technology. And I always say, technology for the sake of technology, you can't be a hammer in search of a nail. Right? You absolutely cannot be. And you have to use technology for an outcome, but do you understand what outcome you're trying to drive? Because sometimes I've had business leaders who would come and say, I need to buy this software tool. And I would say, absolutely not. You don't get to buy a software tool. What outcome are you trying to drive? So let's first understand that outcome, and I might be able to guide you to a different solution. Maybe that tool is not the best tool. It's not the best tool in my kit that you need. You think you do need it because some salesperson probably. So I always try to help people gravitate away from technology to first understand the business problem and then apply technology to get over it, right? And the outcome is absolutely always better. I mean, you feel you invested in the right things, your ROI is great, your adoption is great. So that's why I want to help companies get away from this concept of let's buy all these tools and that will make us great. No, not really. So concepts like enterprise architecture, etc., they're more important to me because that's really how we piece together a lot of things and understand how they're helping us.
So basically, doing it backwards, you should know the end result and then go from there.
Or know the goals, right?
Know the goals.
It may not be the end result, but you know that I'm trying to improve this. So you spend some time understanding what is the problem, how did we get here, what are the symptoms,
The expectations,
right? Expectations, etc. Let's define success, because sometimes people don't even know what success is, right? It's such a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But the moment you define success, great. Now then you start executing. You also know where you want to get to, right? You can measure yourself and you can measure the outcome. You can say, oh, this investment was successful, or no, I think we're not there yet. Let's find something to complement what we invested in, because we want to get to the goal.
Oh, okay, that's interesting and very informative. Like you talked about, the data driven too, right? So data is driven within the company,
Yes.
and also with
Yes.
what you want.
See, everything generates data, right? Where I say a company is really all about its data. Why do you think ransomware is such a big problem? Because all they do is they go destroy your data and you cease to exist. So your lifeblood is data.
Yes, yeah.
All the data that you generate, from engineering to sales to marketing to product operations to customer support, you are generating a ton of data, but it defines who you are. It helps you improve yourself.
Yeah.
It helps you transact. It helps you keep your customers happy. Right?
Yeah.
It's all data driven, right?
Yeah.
And
it's like a puzzle, right? It's to bring it all together and then
figure out where you need to improve, right?
Yes,
what metrics do you want to improve? Well, first understand all the metrics, right?
Okay.
You want to improve sales by 3%. Let's understand the metrics behind it, right? All the way from marketing to all the way to how salespeople are executing. So yes, I think we've learned a lot through this journey together, and the results have been, pretty good.
So I know I said last question. I still have one more question. What do you think? Like being a CIO, what do you think? Just define 3 things that you want to achieve in the future. Just 3 things.
Yeah. So I think as a CIO, obviously, our first role is to ensure that the company, is on a good, stable path.
Okay.
It's compliant, it's secure. So I basically say, first, take care of the foundation.
All right.
Secure your company, make sure that it is scalable, so you do not hit any barriers in your growth, right? So make the company resilient in that sense, in every possible way you can, right? Beyond that, I think it's the culture. So the next thing I focus on is, how do I build a culture of growth?
Okay.
How do I build a culture where people want to work for me and my company?
Okay.
And I think it's a very important piece of the puzzle, and then the final thing is focus on the future as well. Okay. So don't make it so boring that people feel this place is not, for me. Yes, you must always have an eye on the future, right? You have to constantly innovate. You have to constantly evolve yourself. There is no such thing as a static IT, right? Okay. And I think if you follow these principles, I mean, you would build a very healthy, high growth company where people enjoy coming to work for you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Jay. That was very, very informative. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to talk about anything at all, then you know who to call. Just tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Just tell Sanjana.